This is Trash right here. Say hi. Look, say hi. Okay, anyways. Okay, go. So Trash is good at saying no. She's good at deciding when and where and what pose she wants to be in. People, we're not so good at doing that, typically. We are very nervous, especially at our jobs, to say, no, I can't do that, because we want to impress our bosses. We get kind of concerned, especially being freelance, that if word gets around that we are uncomfortable doing a certain position as models, that we won't get hired back. So there are delicate ways of saying no to an employer. I always like the one where an artist will get pretty excited about a pose prior to really thinking about a human being having to hold that pose for a considerate amount of time. So what I often will do if I show up to a class and the artist or instructor is like, I have this great idea. Why don't you bend over backwards and pretzel yourself for 3 hours? Then I will say, oh, that sounds wonderful. Can you show me the pose yourself? I don't quite understand. And of course, that person cannot do the pose, or if they do the pose, they realize that actually their hand has already fallen asleep trying to hold it, even in the short amount of time that it was for them to demonstrate the pose for me. So then obviously that brilliant idea that they had has to be altered to accommodate for the fact that a real human being does in fact have to hold that pose. So that's a really simple one. It sort of alleviates the stress of you having to be the naysayer in that situation. I like that one. It's just very easy, and it sort of reminds the instructor or the person who's asking you that it's a person that they're asking to be holding the pose. So now you know, if you are watching this video and you are an instructor, hi, I may have done that to you, and sorry, but not so sorry. Basically, I think that's maybe slightly passive-aggressive, but also, I don't know, I just kind of like it because it's a good way of just reminding people, like, hi, we're people. I mean, obviously, there's just the straight-up, no, I will not do that, which, it works, but it's also, I find it's just kind of blunt. I mean, people, it's all good for directness, but there's being direct and then there's being too direct, in my opinion. There's always like, no, I can't do that because of. So then obviously you have to state, are you injured? Is there, I mean, obviously over the course of many years I've developed multiple injuries to my back, or just, you know, you might have just various injuries during it living and also working. So, you know, if you're favoring one knee and someone wants you to do a 20-minute standing pose, that's probably not going to work for you. So you have to be willing to speak up for yourself. It's absolutely imperative in this job, because otherwise you will take on many more injuries, and it's kind of on yourself to be your spokesperson. You are your own boss, so you have to act like it. You are the only person who has your own best interest. The person booking you in those cases, they're not in the classroom with you. The instructors will want to have your back, but if you're not telling them what's going on, they can't help you either. And again, they need to hear no if you can't do something. Just a little short thought that popped into my head, so I thought I would share that little piece of advice, and not really apologies if I have ever done that to you. But I think my favorite one is the technique of if someone sees like, often it'll be a gesture. They'll say, oh, I really like that gesture of you when you were on one foot and like your back was all twisted like that. Can you hold that for 10 minutes? And then you can either, You can say, well, like, could you remind me of that pose? Because often it'll be 20 gestures in a row, right? And then you get into longer poses. So could you remind me of it? Like, you demonstrate it for me? And it's always a good one. Just do keep it in mind. And I wanted to make sure I got this out there right away before it just vanished in my head again. I'll be editing the video right away, so yeah, I'm posting it up there for you. But yeah, if you're using the whole "could you show me the pose" technique as a way of saying, this pose is bonkers, guys, like, I am a person, I can't bend like this, you will find that some artists, in their excitement perhaps, or whatever, will give them the benefit of the doubt because we're nice. They will use that as an opportunity to try to move you into the pose right away. Big no. Never ever touch your model. I don't know why this has to be said. New models and older models. All of us, we're not old. We're just experienced, that's all. But you should never ever be touched by the artist. That's just how that goes. Instructors, if you see an artist touching your model, boot them out. I don't care. That's just how that goes. There's no warning. Get him out of the class for the day. It's unacceptable. There's no oops, I forgot. It's a violation. It's unbelievably unsettling to be touched while you're nude or on the verge to becoming nude in your workday. Anyhow, so I just wanted to make it very abundantly clear to models, but as a good reminder to all professionals in this walk of life, in this sphere, that models are not for positioning. If you want to position a model into a pose, get yourself one of those little movable mannequins and you can position that little guy into any pose you want. He can hold that pose for as long as you need him to. If you're working with an actual professional model, you do not touch them. You do not move them into the pose. You do not say, oh, your hand was in this position. Because that did happen to me at one point. And I was naked. And I did happen to scream because my hand was near my crotch. So yeah, it's just don't touch your model. Full stop. That's all. So new models, don't put up with it. Don't feel like you need to put up with it because you're working. It's inappropriate. It will always be inappropriate. If you're hiring a model and life model, do not be touching them. Full stop. I realize that mostly I've been talking about kind of what to watch for if you're already in a working environment, so I might sort of give you some tips and pointers on how to get into the working environment soon, because that's always pretty important as well. Yeah, I don't honestly have too many pointers on how to get into a working environment during a pandemic, because clearly that isn't working out too well for me or anyone at the moment, but I can give you pointers for how to begin working when there isn't a plague going on. So we can start with that. All right. Take care, darlings. Bye.